What would happen if tragedy struck tomorrow and your financial situation was completely turned upside down? Are you prepared to handle an emergency while already weathering this financial storm? It's a daunting thought to think about, but the reality is, most of us are a lot closer to the edge than we think when it comes to our financial stability. That's why it's absolutely crucial to have a durable mindset during times of economic hardship. In this video, I'm going to be going over the 7 steps that you need to take to become financially resilient. Step number 1, budget like a CPA. The best run companies in the entire world seem to weather any and all financial storms. Whether it's a dip in the economy, a public scandal, or a global pandemic, these businesses always survive the toughest of times. In some cases, many can even position themselves to come out of these tough times in a better place than they were previously. These companies all have something in common. They budget and they track their finances down to the last detail with the best accounting minds and software available. If you want to be as financially sound as these stalwarts, then you need to treat your own budget with the same level of professionalism. Surviving tough financial times is impossible if you're not aware of where your money is going or how much you have coming in to begin with. Creating a budget can be hard at first, but it's imperative in building sound financial resilience. Step number 2, build an emergency fund. We've all been in one of those situations where you're coasting through life and it seems like the universe has just decided you've had it a little too easy lately and it decides to send you a life tax. The next week, your car breaks down or your tooth needs to be pulled or you get extremely sick and have to miss a full week of work. It's a shame that normal occurrences such as these could pose as substantial financial setbacks, but they do. That makes having an emergency fund an essential piece of your financial puzzle these days. Let me tell you, there is nothing that helps you sleep better than knowing that your mattress isn't the only cushion that you have providing you support. Not having an emergency fund can almost feel like a rain cloud's following you around, and the only way to get rid of it is to set aside some money for emergencies. Now that you've mastered your budgeting techniques and know how much money you have left over each month, you now know how much you can set aside for this fund. Setting targets and being consistent is the key to creating a much needed buffer between you and financial disaster. Step number 3, pay off debt. Speaking of rain clouds that follow you around, let me introduce you to an entire storm called debt. High levels of debt are perhaps the number one threat to your financial stability and should be taken out with military-like execution. Anyone who has high interest debt is even more vulnerable to a financial mishap, as the rates can cause your debt to compound quickly and spiral out of hand. When paying down debt, it's important to constantly compare your interest rates to those of possible investments you're thinking about making. Keep in mind, most credit card rates don't outpace the stock market, so it's usually wise to take care of your debt first and foremost when it comes to your disposable income. I paid off my debt of over $10,000 by employing the avalanche method. That's where you aggressively pay down any loans with the highest interest rate first, then move your way down the list of loans, leaving the lowest interest rates for last. Step number 4, create a second income stream. Relying on only one income source exposes you to financial disasters in more ways than one. Entire industries have been completely rendered obsolete, so to think that any job is unconditionally safe is foolish. Not to mention the fact that you could get fired over any silly mistakes, budget cutbacks, or even office politics. Sometimes things are just completely out of your control, but what's not out of your control is putting all of your eggs in one basket. Making an investment to create a second source of income is a huge power move when it comes to creating financial stability. This can be in the form of stocks, bonds, dividends, or even starting a business or side hustle. This step is by far the hardest, as it not only requires a lot of work, it can take quite a bit of time as well, not to mention a few failures along the way. It cannot, however, be understated just how important it is to diversify your income to become more financially resilient. Step number 5, get insured. Is that emergency fund not exactly doing the trick when it comes to getting a good night's sleep? Well, the doctor is about to prescribe a horse tranquilizer that could put the whole house to bed. Insurance. You worked hard for your assets. You still work hard for them as well as for your family. It's time to protect not only what you've worked for, but who you worked for as well, by buying insurance on the appreciating assets you have and also on your life as well. Life insurance, along with a living will, ensures that your loved ones will be taken care of in the tragic event of your death. Step number 6, educate yourself about personal finance. Becoming financially resilient means being able to rely on your own financial knowledge. It's a shame that these days financial education is so rarely taught in schools. That's why it's important to take it upon ourselves and become voracious learners. Making the correct financial decisions when there's lots of money on the line is entirely dependent on your grasp of fundamental concepts. The more research you do and the more you educate yourself, the easier these decisions will be. With sites like Skillshare, it's never been easier to become a knowledge inhaling machine. I have challenged myself to take one class on Skillshare each week this year in a wide variety of topics to better broaden my scope of knowledge. I may take a few writing classes, a psychology class, or even a cooking class. I want to ask you to take this challenge with me and click the link in my bio to sign up for a free 30-day trial. I'm willing to bet that you can get at least 3 classes done within your first month. Step number 7. Build a support system. Finally, it's important to have a sound foundation of people in your life. This means building a solid network of business contacts and colleagues, but more importantly, it means nourishing relationships with people who bring out the best in you and help you thrive in all situations. Being around positive, loving individuals creates an environment where people are capable of extraordinary things. Even the most successful people in the world have tight inner circles full of people who unconditionally support them. It can be challenging identifying who those people are, and it can be even more challenging to separate yourselves from those who are negative influences. But it's absolutely necessary on the road to being more financially resilient. Tragedy isn't something we all like to think about often. That's why it's best practice to just get it over with and plan for the worst first. Don't wait until it's too late, or else you could suffer a serious financial setback. Becoming financially resilient doesn't happen overnight, but I'm sure that if you take these 7 simple tips and learn how to apply them in your life, then you will be well on your way to becoming more financially resilient. If you made it this far, then thanks for watching. Don't forget to click subscribe so you don't miss out on more amazing content like this.